Today on the podcast, I want to talk about some of my favorite highlights and things that were recently announced at the Google I.O conference. I was able to go there in person and see some of the keynotes live. And one in particular that I think got a lot of traction when I posted about this on LinkedIn was this new AI try-on tool that Google has created that essentially allows you to try on clothes, but among a ton of other interesting things that I will be getting into. Before we get into all of that, I wanted to mention my startup, AI Box, has officially launched our first product. It is the AI Box Playground. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know I have been talking about AI Box for like the last couple years, but it's always been like, get on the wait list. Like, we're launching something soon. And development always takes longer than you want. I have learned with my software startups in the past, but I'm super excited. AI Box is officially live with our first beta product. It's a playground that allows you to test all of the top AI models all in one place. We've made it so you can actually chat with all of them in the same chat. I think a lot of times I would copy and paste. Sometimes I get ChatGPT to write something. I copy and paste it, stick it over to Claude, be like, hey, can you fix the tone on this? I just found the tone on Claude was a lot better. And then I'm like, okay, fantastic. Now I need like an image for this document I'm making. And I'd, go over and use Flex on Grok to generate the image and throw it in there. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now I want like an audio voiceover to read this so I can use it for something. And I would go and use 11 Labs. All of those products are in the same chat interface on AI Box. So you could do all of those tasks and that workflow I just explained in one chat, get all of them there. It understands the context of all the past messages. It is incredibly useful. You don't need subscriptions to all of those different platforms. It's just $19 a month and you get access to all of it. So if you want to check it out, it's aibox.ai. I have a link in the description. But let's get into what Google has been cooking up this past weekend. Google is obviously taking everyone by storm, and the saying is Google is the new Google. When everyone's like, who's going to be the new Google? And it's like, Google apparently is going to be the new Google because they are not getting left behind on the AI front. They got a lot of criticism for their slowness to adopt AI into search, but even that they announced they are now doing. So, of course, they have a really interesting tool, which is kind of like this clothing try on. At the conference, they had a lady go up and she was talking about a dress that she liked. She found a picture of the dress and then she, sent it over to the new Google try on tool. And added a picture of an image of her wearing that actual dress. So it was a really impressive demo. And I think a lot of people are going to be excited about that for online shopping. I think this unlocks a lot, but I think it just gets to the overall point of kind of what Google is doing here, which is that they are creating tools and features with their AI that will be embedded into current Google products. So Google Shopping is evidently going to get this, and you're going to have companies like Shopify that probably really want this, and I'm not sure if they're actually going to give access to it. And if they do, they'll make money, but if not, then Google Shopping is going to have a specific competitive advantage over Shopify or Amazon or other tools. And so other people are going to have to try to catch up and copy those things. So Google's making really strong competitive edges for themselves. The post I posted about from the conference that really got a lot of attention was about the new Google AI mode. People were giving them a lot of criticism, saying Perplexity was kind of running away with search. We, for the first time, saw Google lose, or like, I don't know if we would say lose, but like these AI tools were taking over like 5% of the search market that we saw. Like Google was losing about 5% share, and that was in the last like quarter or something like that from ChatGPT and Perplexity and some other tools. And so I think for the first time ever, before we're seeing like, oh, there's no impact on search. Google's just going to be dominant there. People are using ChatGPT for other things. And it felt like for the first time we were seeing Google really, I don't want to say struggling, but like they're getting competitors that are being taken very seriously, coming in and doing some serious actual numbers. We're seeing actual numbers. So they obviously saw that this was an issue and they unveiled something called AI mode, which I think the most impressive thing about this is it's like its own standalone site beyond just being on Google, where you can go and do searches kind of like ChatGPT or Perplexity. It's going to go do all the research. It will go do hundreds of searches on Google, skim all the results, and then do research and put it all together for you. I think this is a great tool. It's kind of like a deep research tool with links that ChatGPT and Grok and even DeepSeek were all trying to do. So it's like not too crazy or revolutionary of a product, from being honest, because other people are doing it, but obviously it's what people want. And so Google realizes there is an evolution to search. Now, the one big announcement that they made along with this is the fact that there is going to be ads embedded in this. So their ads business is not being disrupted. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, why would I use this over, something like Perplexity or ChatGPT? And I mean, I think there's one thing I will say is we are going to see a ton of people using this for quote unquote free. They're not going to pay like a $20 a month subscription to Perplexity or ChatGPT and they get the same kind of results here. There will be ads in it, but maybe they'll overlook that for the free model. So I think that's an element of it. It's nice with ChatGPT or Perplexity that you obviously can use them for $20 a month and not get ads. That's something I appreciate. But I think just to kind of go over the value here, when ChatGPT unveiled their free model or their free tier, you can just go to chatgpt.com and use it without having to sign in, and you get to use it for free. Like they a massive spike in usage. Now they're only giving not their best models and yada yada. They got rate limits and other things. Like it's obviously a ton of benefit to use their $20 a month paid edition, but they saw a massive spike. And so I think by Google revealing this tool and launching this, they're going to also see a huge spike. Now, how is this tool going to be better than ChatGPT or Perplexity? What is Google's competitive edge? And that answer to that is data. So they actually announced something special with this called personal context. So they'll be adding all of your personal context, and it's all opt-in, obviously, but this is based off of all of your Gmails, all of your documents on Google Docs, Sheets, all of your presentations, etc., your YouTube history, everything. So all of the data that Google has on you, which is a ton if you're using Gmail and YouTube and Google Docs and all their other products, all of that will be embedded in here. So it's going to be able to read that. So when you're going and doing a Google AI mode search, right, you could be like, hey, I want to go to the airport, fly to Atlanta next Saturday, go find me some flights. And so then it's going to go do the flight, search for the flights. But then it's going to say, awesome, are you going to go with your whole family or just you? And you'll be like, yeah, it's the whole family. So then it knows exactly how many people are in your family from all of your data that it's scraped. Or it's like, okay, cool. Are you going to be getting a company car? Because you always get your company works exclusively with like Hertz. So we're going to go get it like with Hertz, right? Like it's going to be able to grab all this data that you just don't have to tell it. So you'll be able to, I think what's cool here is it's like when you think about like a personal assistant, for example, what's the value of a personal assistant? I mean, they're going to go do all these tasks for you that you need, but they know everything about you. That's why they're so valuable. They know everything about you. And so when a personal assistant is going and, if you're like, let's say you have a personal assistant and you're like, hey, go book a meeting with this person. They know what the meeting's going to be about. They know like the context of everything in the background. Whereas if you just went to a fresh tab on ChatGPT and was like, hey, go accomplish this task for me or do this, it doesn't know anything about you. And so it's just kind of limited. So you got to tell it pretty much, which is really labor intensive. Like it takes up way more energy to be like, book a flight for 7 people at 2 p.m. on Friday after I get off of work. Make sure that I do X, Y, and Z. Make sure that it's to this location. Make sure, you're not booking it with this car rental company. You do it with this one. Make sure you're using the airline that I have the most frequent flyer points for. Use my frequent flyer point, right? Like you could go crazy on one of these agents and give it a really detailed thing. But if it had all the information about you, like it could just know all of that. And all you'd have to say is, hey, based off of what my information and what I usually book, go get me a flight to Atlanta next Friday. And it could pull up the details and maybe you approve it or whatever. But all the personal information makes it so much better. So I'm really excited to see what they're able to do there. They also, of course, added deep search. It was kind of funny, like an anecdote from the conference is that when Sundar announced deep search wasn't, or I think it was the head of of Google DeepMind. When they announced deep search, it wasn't like, so a lot of their big announcements they made when they announced AI mode and a lot of other things, there was like thundering applause. Everyone's like super excited. I mean, it's a Google conference and Google's announcing features and a lot of people are like employees. So they're super excited. One funny thing is when they announced deep search, there was not a lot of applause, like a couple of people here and there, but it's interesting because like on the teleprompter, like you could see, because for like people with, hearing impairments had like a teleprompter with all the text. So you kind of knew what like they were going to say and or what they're saying and stuff. On the teleprompter, it was like pause for applause. There was like a couple people applauding after deep search. And the reason why is not because this tool isn't great. In my opinion, this tool is pretty cool, the deep search that Google is adding, but it's not new, right? Everyone kind of has a deep search. Google or OpenAI has one, Grok has one, DeepSeek has one. And so it's like, sure, it's cool, but it's like, okay, this came out like months ago for everybody else. So great, we caught up and now we have a deep search, but I don't know, whatever. So in any case, I will say this does make the tool much more useful. This is awesome. This is great for Google. It's not novel. I'm not going to give them too many like kudos to having rolled this out in the, in the entire because other people did it first and have been, they're obviously just kind of copying it. So very cool updates. I think the personal context is probably one of the biggest game changers that we're seeing here. I'm excited to see how this rolls out and how people are using this. So you can actually go and try it today. Go on Google and search for AI mode, and it's a really cool product. When you do an AI mode search, it's just like a search engine. There at the top, there's like you can kind of tab between like images and video and like everything else that's normally in the Google search bar. But now it just has this like a dedicated AI mode area. So very fascinating, and I think this is a great move for Google. The fact that they have links embedded and the fact that they have ads embedded means that they're not going to kill their whole ad business, but it's going to completely change, I think, how you use search at Google. And my prediction would be this thing goes out, this thing probably gets a lot of traction, and eventually legacy Google search gets replaced for this. Maybe there's going to be like legacy Google or, original Google or Google links, maybe is what Google search is going to turn into. But at the end of the day, I think Google search will turn into this. This is going to become very popular over at Google. So absolutely fascinating. I'll keep you up to date on all of that. And make sure, as always, to check out AIbox.ai, my startup, if you would like to try out all of the latest AI models without having to buy subscriptions to 40 different platforms. Amazing stuff in there, and you can chat with all the models all in the same chat. So it's very cool, AIbox.ai. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.